This video is going to be going over when you should be pulling on a weapon banner. I would like to add a few disclaimers first though. Under no circumstances should you pull on the weapon banner if you don't already have a lot of characters on your account. Keep in mind that there is also a chance that you may get a standard banner weapon. With that being said, let's get into it. There are a few rules that I like to abide by to make sure that I'm getting the most value out of the weapon banner. When pulling on the weapon banner, you want to minimize the amount of gambling that you're actually doing. These are the conditions that I follow. Condition number 1. Only pull on the weapon banner if both 5-star weapons are weapons you can currently use. Never pull on the weapon banner if you can't make use of both weapons. For example, if the weapon banner has Amos Bow and Song of Broken Pines, but you don't have Eula or Razor, then that would be a bad banner to pull on, even if you have a Ganyu. You want to limit the amount of gambling you're actually doing and have your outcomes be as favorable as possible. This rule does change if you plan on getting Eula or Razor in the future and you want to main them. Just keep in mind that you may not even get the character to use the weapon, so it's better to pull for what you already have. Condition number 2. Try and know what the next character banner is going to be before you pull. You may have to dream about it to figure it out, if you know what I mean. You don't want to end up in a situation where you pull for the weapon banner, but then find out your waifu is in the next banner because of drip marketing, and then you can't pull for her because you don't have enough primos, and then you're encouraged to swipe for that character. Now, this is not a great rule to follow because you might end up missing a rerun of a character that you wanted. To best ensure that this scenario doesn't happen, make sure you either will have enough leftover pulls or have a guaranteed for the next character banner that comes. Condition number 3. Only pull for weapons that can be used on multiple characters. This is somewhat of a softer rule, as you can, for instance, pull for Freedom Sworn or Song of Broken Pines if you really like a specific character, but for the most part, I would highly advise against this. Getting more universal weapons means you get more value for your primo gems when you pull in the weapon banner. Weapons like Staff of Homa, Engulfing Lightning, Jade Cutter, and Mist Splitter are all very strong weapons, while also having many uses on different characters. For example, you can put Jade Cutter on Keqing or Ayato. You can put Staff of Homa on Zhongli or Hu Tao, Engulfing Lightning on Raiden or Shangli. Just be sure that you have characters that can use the same weapon. While weapons like Freedom Sworn are great for specific characters, they have limited use outside of those characters, and sometimes have viable enough 4-star alternatives that just don't justify pulling for them. Condition number 4. This is perhaps one of the most important conditions on this list. Make sure that 3 of the 5 4-star weapons are good weapons that you can actually use on your account. This means that every 10 pull, over half the time you will be getting a good 4-star weapon. Not many people will agree with this condition, as it is quite strict and tempting to pull on banners that only have good 5 stars. But keep in mind, you are spending probably around 10,000 primos to get a weapon on the weapon banner. That's a lot of time in primos, so you want to get as much value as possible from every 10 pull, not just your pity pull. The Favonius weapons are a very good example of great 4-star weapons that can be used on many characters. Sacrificial Sword is also valuable, and Wid Sith certainly has its uses. Weapons like Rain Cutter or Alley Hunter are red flags on weapon banners. It would be especially bad to pull on a weapon banner that had 1 or none good 4-star weapons, because that means you are spending 10,000 primos for only a 5-star weapon. On the flip side, if a weapon banner is insanely cracked and has 5 good 4-star weapons and no good 5-star weapons, I would still say that it is worth it. This would have to be something like a Wid Sith, Sack Sword, Favonius Bow, Akomora, and a Wave Breaker. Even if the 5-star weapons are like Summit Shaper and Vortex Vanquisher, it would still be worth pulling on that banner because the 4 stars provide so much value for your account. This rule is also an insurance rule. In case you get a standard banner weapon, at least you'll come out on top with some good 4-star weapon copies, or maybe an R3 Sack Sword, for example. Condition number 5. This applies to everyone who isn't a filthy whale. Never, ever, ever, ever spend money to try and get a 5-star weapon. If you want to spend money, spend it on the battle pass and get an R5 Serpent Spine or one of the other BP weapons, because that is guaranteed and they are great weapon options. While I say all these conditions to help limit your losses and maximize your value for primos, keep in mind it's still a gacha game and you can still use 4-star weapons and get by just fine. Getting 5-star weapons will just make the Abyss much more easier to clear and much more fluid. Anyways, that's everything I pretty much wanted to say for this video. I know there are some people who will refuse to ever wish on the weapon banner, and that's fine. But I think you can set some limits on yourself or conditions and still pull on it, even if you're afraid to play. Sub if you like this video and comment any qualms or questions you have with my conditions. Take care and have a great day.